Now we're going to talk city politics, and the city of Johannesburg has suspended 3 officials over what it says was poor construction of houses in Soweto. The city is also taking action against construction companies, or a construction company, because it wasn't registered properly. Here's the background, and it was a big problem. Over 3,000 homes suffering extensive damage in storms late last year. For more on the story, he's just delivered that briefing. The Mayor of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, good afternoon to you and welcome. So what sort of environment existed in order to allow this type of shoddy work to be undertaken and also obviously passed by building inspectors?
Well, I think, Jeremy and the rest people of South Africa, it's really been unfortunate what I've experienced ever since taking over this job in terms of the breakdown of the rule of law. On the 30th of December, as you're aware, there was this massive tornado, and 31st in the morning, I was one of the first people on the ground. And being on the ground, without being an expert in housing, I could immediately see something was wrong. Obviously, also talking to some of the residents. And then I immediately called an urgent meeting of all the officials at the Sandton fire station. I immediately made a commitment that I need a forensic investigation in terms of the quality of these houses. As much as one thing I did not ignore was the extent of that tornado was heavy. But at the same time, the complaints of our residents, and looked at the quality of the houses. I then requested the city manager to engage group forensic assurance services in the city to do this forensic investigation. And I'm glad last week, late last week, I received the report, and this afternoon I had a press conference to release. And unfortunately, the report it's actually quite worrying.
But something is deeply wrong within the city, Mayor Mashaba, in terms of flawed approval processes.
Absolutely.
And you've nipped it in the bud. But for instance, this could extend to many other settlements.
Absolutely. In fact, I don't believe this problem only existed with those few houses. I think it looks like this has been a practice for many years. Houses being built in the city of Johannesburg without building plans. Houses being built without inspectors doing an supervision to ensure that houses are built as per plans. People are allowed to take occupation of houses without occupation certificates. Some of the construction companies not registered with NHBRC. And so forth and so forth. So these are the issues. And now also, even those that were registered, not building as per the plans which were approved by the city. And what is worrying is that when we started this investigation, some of the city officials refusing to cooperate with us. That's why we've suspended 3 of them. So there will be consequences for everyone concerned.
I want to talk about the consequences as far as those 3 city officials are concerned.
Not only,
given that 2 people died as a result of this. But what you're also suggesting, if you're buying into my premise, that if there is shoddy approval process for other homes in other parts of the city, potentially people are living in dangerous accommodation and it's not safe for them to be there.
Well,
this is a ticking time bomb.
Absolutely. Is for that reason I'm actually quite pleased that it has happened, and in fact I'm not really sure of 2 people losing lives. I'm only aware of 1, but the one that lost their lives is because of the tree falling on them. It had nothing to do in the houses. However, without any doubt, my biggest concern is with this sample of just over 3,000 houses, what about all the millions of houses being built in the province
which are potentially unsafe?
Absolutely.
So from the city's perspective, what are you going to do?
That is why this report this afternoon, I'm going to be handing it over to the province and the national government, because housing it's a competency of national government. It's not a competency of the city.
I'm also assuming that you're talking to your lawyers, given that shoddy houses built under the aegis of the Johannesburg City Council and with potential tragic consequences opens you up to legal challenge here.
Yeah, well, I think, Jeremy, I think we as public representatives, we have the responsibility to be responsive, to be transparent and deal in good faith. So it doesn't really matter if I've made a mistake. I cannot obviously admit it. Fortunate enough, this incidences happened long before my time. And I'm not really releasing this report because it happened during my during my absence. This tragedy happened during my time, and I immediately on the very same day instituted this forensic investigation so that we get to the bottom of this, because the country cannot afford to really have this this matter happening again.
Mayor Mashaba, what culpability, in your opinion, do banks carry?
Well, at this point in time, as I said this afternoon at the press conference, because of the timing, I think I needed this report as a matter of agency. The banks will be the second stage that we're going to really be investigating, because I need to understand why on earth did the banks actually approve loans to such shady type of houses. So the banks, as I indicated during the press conference, we're not at them, but it'll be part of...
So how are you going to engage the banks?
Well,
they're the third leg of this trial.
Well, absolutely. It's very easy, Jeremy. It's for us, with all the houses that have given bonds to open the books so that we see what actually determinations they used in affording bonds to this shady type of houses.
How are you going to fix poor record keeping?
Well, no, we've already started. I'm sure you're aware. I'm being every day labeled as paging officials of the previous administration. It's not about paging. It's about the establishment of a professional public service. If you remember, a week after I took over, I came out with a 10-point plan. One of the issues that I committed to was the establishment of a professional public service. Now, do I call this a professional public service when actually there is no record keeping of houses that have been built, some of them just over a year ago? It's not like, I mean, you're talking about something that happened 100 years ago. So for that reason, I'm busy in the process of making sure that I bring in professional South Africans that wants to really work as public servants.
As far as these 3,000 houses are concerned, first of all, have you established beyond all reasonable doubt who the identities of the contractors are?
No,
yes,
well, that
yes
is fortunate enough. I mean, that information is available. That's information that we have.
So you know exactly who they are?
We know
how many contractors are there?
Well, it depends on different areas. I think the most affected area is Protea Lane, where there's about 2 contractors we are involved there.
And what action then are you as the city pursuing against them?
Well, I think, as I said, that the first thing that I needed to do was to go deep into this matter to understand what I'm dealing with. Now that I've got the report, I know all the culprits. There will be consequences.
Consequences
Yes.
being what, though?
Consequences.
Yes,
legal action, city officials, past and present, because some of them have already left the city. One thing for sure, we've got to have criminal and legal claims against them. We will do that with contractors. We will do it with everyone who was involved, and I will do everything in my power to find justice for our residents.
Just a final question then, in terms of going forward. You have 3 people, if I reported that correctly, that have been suspended. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
Those people, at what level within the process or within the value chain do they sit?
Well, these are directors. These are the people who are supposed to have been responsible for record keeping, and they were refusing to really give the auditing firm, our group risk and assurance services, giving them access to this record.
What have they said in their defense to you then?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not the one running the investigation myself.
You ordered the investigation. What have they said?
The information I received is that they were refusing to cooperate. There's a reason why most of the houses, we don't have plans, we don't have any records whatsoever of really what really transpired. But we will go deep into this. If it means we've got to pursue them criminally, we will do that. And I'm not going to hesitate around that particular.
Mayor of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, thank you very much for joining us here on Newsday.